So welcome to class. Let me share my class notes with you. I'm sure a few others will join in a moment. I gotta find the class notes. Hang on one second. There we are. Okay. All right. So here's our new schedule. Here we are today. We took a look at on Tuesday. We took a look at the topics for essay number 3. So we'll look at that a little bit more today. And then we're going to have no class on Monday, but we will have a class on Tuesday next week. And that's going to be our last Zoom class. Now, here's what I did with the schedule. I took out the final essay. So this third essay will be your last essay. And I have the due dates in here. I'm hoping you can get me the first draft by February 7th, and then the second draft by the 13th. There it is down here. So I'm giving you a bunch of time to do this essay number 3. Some of you, of course, already done that. You've already given me a first draft, and I have those, and I'll get those back to you by tomorrow for sure. But there's a few students out there who still owe me the second essay, and that's the main reason I'm expanding the time frame here and taking out that last essay. So I want to say a couple of things. I'm just looking at the grading sheet while we're talking. So most of you are probably satisfied with your grades, but if there are a couple of you who are not satisfied with your grades and want to do a fourth essay, let me know about that, and we'll work that in for you individually. But for everybody else, this essay number 3 is going to be the last essay. We'll call it a major assignment, and you definitely need 3 sources in addition to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for this essay. Let me just stop there and see if we have any questions. Anybody questioning the schedule or what we're up to? Just looking up.
And so, Professor,
Yes.
our quiz is up to these 3 essays and the discussion board, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And basically, even if you started with an A minus in your very first draft, if you've gotten A's after that and you get an A on this last essay, you'll get an A in the class. Most people are pretty much there. Some of you need to give me a second draft of that second essay, and some of you need to give me a first draft of that second essay. I'm just looking to see who's here and who has given me what. So you pretty much know who you are, not calling out anybody by name, but if you owe me a second draft or you owe me the first draft of the second essay, now is a really good time to put that in. And the rest of you should be working on your essay number 3. Some of you, as I said, have given me that essay number 3 already. So let me just ask. So those of you who are working on essay 3 or even gave me an essay 3, maybe you want to share with the others what your essay is about? Yes, Isabel, I'll stay on after class to talk with you. Anybody want to share what their essay is about? Oh, okay. Anybody need help thinking about their essay number 3? Do you want to see a sample essay number 3? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's bring up a sample essay 3. Let's, where's that going to be? Hold up 1 second and I will find that here. Desktop. Okay. All right, so we'll use this one. Whoop. There it is. Okay. And we'll share the screen. And here we are. Okay. Here's a sample essay number 3. Here, now notice right away, the heading. This is the correct heading for an MLA paper. Some of you will be going on to APA. That's a totally different cover sheet for APA, and you'll need to work on that. But this is exactly what you need to do for any MLA submission. Also, I want you to notice up in the right-hand corner is the student's last name and the page number. That's a running header, and that's also the correct way to do it in MLA. Here we'll slide down. There's page 2, and probably, yep, there's page 3. So the running header with the last name and the page number go up here, and this is all you need in the beginning for your title page, basically. And then, of course, there's a title. That's right there. I'm not going to quibble too much, but we don't want to use that third person, even though it's a very, very comfortable way, I suppose, to put that title in there. But let's take a look. It's relatively recent to hold that everyone has certain human rights simply because of their humanity. Very nice introductory statement. However, its roots can be found in older customs and documents from numerous cultures. The Second World War was a catalyst for internationalizing human rights and the ensuing rise in their awareness. Very nice. Now you notice we got a sentence here and a sentence here, and they're correctly connected with a semicolon there. 2 sentences connected with a semicolon. On October 24th, 1945, the world's populace created the United Nations in an additional effort to avert a world war. 2, right? That was the Second World War. We had a First World War. 2 world wars were enough. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was ratified on December 10th, 1948. Human rights cover a range of things. Of course, things is just the minimal word you can use for this. A little more effort into the kind of thing it is that we're covering here, range of different aspects of life or something like that would be a little better, such as freedom from slavery and torture, the right to life and liberty, freedom of speech, the right to a job, to an education, among many others. Of course, we all read this together, so you know what this is about. These rights are universal and inalienable for everyone. Nice use of the word inalienable there, hearkening back to the Declaration of Independence. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a foundational text in the development of human rights, a foundational text, meaning it established the ideas and other ideas are built upon it. It was officially adopted as a benchmark of success for all people and all countries by the United Nations. Representatives from all corners of the globe with diverse legal and cultural backgrounds created the declaration. Now, of course, I always bristle tiny bit with that corners of the globe sort of statement. It's a nice statement because, right, a globe is round and doesn't really have corners, but that's okay. It's an expression that's used, just one that I wouldn't necessarily use. People usually acquired rights and responsibilities through membership in a group throughout history, whether it was a family, indigenous nation, religion, class, community, or state. Absolutely. The Universal Human Rights Declaration, the most transcribed document in history since its adoption in 1948. I didn't know that. The document that's been copied and referred to the most, has served as a model for the constitutions of numerous newly independent states and numerous new democracies. Of course, they were new in 1948 or soon after. The United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, as well as the International Covenant on Economic and Social and Cultural Rights, and its optional protocol collectively make up what is known as the International Bill of Rights. So here you can see this student went far beyond the Universal Declaration itself, did a little bit more research, and found out, oh, there were other documents and other proclamations that the United Nations put forth to explain and to promulgate the whole idea of human rights. And all of them, all of those documents together, the ones that are listed here, are referred to under that heading, that cumulative title, International Bill of Human Rights, which is very nice statement. Of course, one thing we just want to put in here, if you're going to have that quotation mark in the front, and you need it in the back as well. Okay. States now, particularly condemning racial discrimination and apartheid, the parties commit to preventing, outlawing, and eliminating all such actions in the areas under their control. So this one particular sentence seems to be a bit confusing. What is that now doing in there? States now, particularly condemning racial discrimination and apartheid, the parties commit. No, this. So I would say my kind of comment here would be, this is not clear. I think there might have been two ideas. Sometimes it's that two ideas are put together in one sentence because you think so fast. Maybe you want to clarify that a little bit. According to fundamental human rights, no one should be subjected to prejudice based on race. Different races and origins bring on racial prejudice. So that's a human fact. Not quite sure. That's a very strong statement. Certainly, you can't have racial prejudice without different races and origins. Just this bring on, I'm not sure if that's really the right word you want to use in there. Maybe it is. We'll see. With endowed human rights, humans shouldn't be discriminated against because of cultural background. Absolutely. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights specifies that everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms outlined in this document without distinction. Excellent. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights has set the outline for everyone from different cultural backgrounds. So this outline, so maybe that could be clarified a little bit. Maybe the outline for something, right? That because outline by itself maybe isn't strong enough there to explain exactly what the student means. It protects the inalienable right to be held before with freedoms and laws without discrimination. It protects the inalienable rights, I suppose, to be held before the freedoms and laws without discrimination. I'm sorry, this one is also just a bit confusing. It's, again, just could be made a little bit more clear exactly what's trying to be said there. It entitles everybody to the same equal rights with bereft superiority. Now, there's a word that I'm not sure if this is the right word. Okay, so check that one. Maybe it was supposed to be something else. I don't know. So that's a little tricky right there. Equal rights have proven to be the most difficult to uphold, as demonstrated by the numerous historical examples and failures. Absolutely. Nevertheless, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights proves that all people are endowed with fundamental human rights. So it doesn't actually prove it, it declares it, it states it. There's no attempt to prove it. I know it's certainly announcing that. So it's a little tricky again. So you notice that mostly what I'm doing here is I'm taking a look at some of the particular words that are used to express the ideas here, those little criticisms. So that's like a vocabulary issue. You want to make sure that the words that you're using are really clear and really state what it is you want to say. So I would look at those. This declaration, so since this is the actual declaration, the specific declaration, you want to put it like that. This declaration was first adopted in 1948 as a promise to all people that everyone deserves to be treated equally, regardless of situation or difference, regardless of race, gender, age, belief. Absolutely, a strong statement. Whoops, sorry, people. There we go. Despite its slow progress, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights has made significant advancements towards securing equal rights for all. It provides a clear example of what needs to be done. I would just say it provides a clear example, because you're absolutely right. It's not actually been completely fulfilled in any way. And here's your works cited page. Only criticism, well, two little criticisms here. One is that the works cited list needs to be double spaced. So you need to double space that works cited page. And then you see the hanging indents are used here. Just need that hanging indent for this one, right, as well. Hanging indents for all entries. This is a really excellent essay. I mean, I know I was quibbling with a couple of words and a couple of sentences like here and there, but this essay does a really good job of presenting the ideas overall in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and of course shows the research that was done in terms of understanding that there are other documents that the United Nations has promulgated in order to fully explain and fully lay out the various rights that people have. So the research that's been done is clear, and the whole notion of the discussion of the whole notion of human rights, referring to a couple of them along the way, and giving those examples along the way is very good. And then, of course, the clear statement that how hard it is for this whole idea of human rights to be created and to be lived up to by everyone in the world. So it's a really good essay. Okay, and I will give specific feedback there. Okay. So, did that help you a little bit in terms of your own work? That was a very wide-ranging essay. You want to look at another one?
Yes, please.
All right, let's look at another one. Let me bring it up. And let's do this one here. Oh. There it is. Okay, share the screen. And here we have another one. Okay. So once again, you see the heading here, which is correct. The only thing that's missing up here is the running header with the page number and the last name. Should be up here in the right-hand corner somewhere. There's the header, right? So you can put the page number in there, and well, I guess I won't do it. I'll just leave it like that. Okay. Could have a title, but doesn't need a title. It's okay that there's no title. The United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on December 10th, 1948. Fine opening statement. It is a result of the lessons learned from World War II. Absolutely. After World War II, the United Nations was created, and the international community didn't allow the atrocities of the war to happen again. So they didn't want them, right? It's not that they didn't want to allow. Okay. Perhaps might be a better way to fix it, but you need something in there. An international group consisting of Eleanor Roosevelt, Peng Chang, Charles Malik, and others drafted and made the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Very good. And that's a complete sentence. And here's the second complete sentence. The goal of this declaration was to uphold people's dignity and justice worldwide. So you have two sentences properly connected with a semicolon. Therefore, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is the foundation of international human rights law. Absolutely. This is because the Universal Declaration of Human Rights aims to protect all human beings' fundamental rights and freedoms. Absolutely correct. And you'll notice plural possessive. That's done correctly. Right? The fundamental rights and freedoms that belong to all human beings. And this little guy here is what gives you that belong to. To begin with, the second article, everyone is entitled to the rights and freedoms set forth in. I won't read the whole thing because it looks like it goes all the way down to here, right? Here's the quote. Oops. Here's the quote here, just like that, right? So maybe we need a word such as the second article states. The enjoyment of the right of freedom and equality is a common goal of humanity because it can serve as a basis for guaranteeing human rights. Very good. Good thought. Very good thought. However, there are still some countries where people do not have access to the freedom and rights that are rightfully theirs. So, see this still? You should try to continue to be. Try to save that still or motionless. And more formal writing, use an expression such as there continue to be, or some other expression that communicates that. These are small things, I know. Here, for example, according to the reporter Anna, and I'm not going to try to pronounce her name, of the New York Times, and here's her quote: "Do not touch my clothes. Afghan women protest against Taliban restriction on rights." So that's the article. So according to the reporter Anna, in the article, and you could say titled, you don't have to because you're giving the title, but you sort of need those words in there. Everyone can see that the Taliban began to reassert control over Afghanistan. Women were denied the right. So, okay. So there's two sentences here. This is one sentence, and here's another sentence. So you need to do something in here. If you want to use that comma to connect them, you can certainly put the word "and" in there, one of the fanboys. Or you could put a semicolon, or you could make this two sentences. Lots of different ways to fix it. And this is actually the Taliban, right? The Taliban declared that all women should stay home and cover their bodies with black veils and robes. Now, here we have the page for this article. So we should be able to go down to the works cited and look at this last name and see that article. Let's just do that. And there it is. All right. And let's just look at the works cited for a moment since we're here. Everything's right with the title. Everything's right with the hanging indents. You see that? 3 different sources. And they're in alphabetical order. Perfect works cited. Absolutely perfect. I know a number of you need to work on your formatting of your works cited. I understand you might think it's just tedious and pro forma, but it's very important. It's important for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is when you go on in college to write papers for all your other professors, whether you're using the MLA style works cited or you're using the APA style references and then the in-text quotations. If you're writing longer papers, lots of times the professors will simply look at your formatting and figure if you got the formatting right, you got other things correct. Besides, it's easier for them to look at the formatting than to read every word in your paper the way I do. And so if you get the formatting right, you can usually get a better grade. So those of you who are grade conscious, think about getting your works cited properly formatted. I put that note in a lot of people's essays so far. Now you're doing the final essay, the major assignment number 3. Please try to make sure your works cited is proper. That means double spacing, like that. That means using the hanging indent format, like that. And that means putting them in alphabetical order, like this. Also means having the correct title, and you'll notice it's capital W, capital C, and then it's plural, works, because there's more than one document. Works means written documents, and cited means quoted or referred to in the text. So this is perfect works cited. Go back to where we were. The Taliban declared that all women should stay home, wear robes. This action taken by the Taliban is a severe violation of the second article of the Declaration. Even more frightening is the deprivation of African women's freedom. The deprivation of African women's freedom is only the beginning of a process that will gradually deprive them of more rights that belong to them. This is why, until now, the Declaration of Human Rights should be used as an essential tool to restrain some countries from persecution Okay, so here, this could be persecuting some people, or it could be from the persecution of some people. Either way is a fine way to make that correction. But also, this is why until now, this is just a little bit confusing. First of all, not sure what the intention was, having a semicolon there. I could see if it were a comma, it might be all right. But then taking the sentence as a whole, it is why until now the universe should be used until now. Yes. So maybe this could be said a little bit more clearly. I think I got the message, but it's not really clear. So making that sentence a little bit more clear would be better. In addition, the 14th article of the Universal Declaration states everyone has the right to seek and enjoy in other countries asylum from persecution. I know what I want to say. Look at this wonderful example that's put into this paragraph here. Here, the student has clearly done some research in terms of what kinds of current events or what kinds of things are happening in the world that relate to the the second article, and the student has come up with a source that was really effective in terms of illustrating the idea that the negative idea here that people's rights were being denied, and so this example of how the Taliban is denying the rights and how that is contrary to the second article of the Declaration is really a perfect example. Excellent. Here you see how you, the author of the document, can inject into the discussion that's happening here the emotion or even the moral judgment that you want to make without using the first or second person. You could have written, I find it even more frightening. No, that would be first person, and that would be injecting opinion in here. Here, correctly, third person is used, and the same idea is conveyed, but it's done in a third person fashion, and so you can tell that the author is saying this because frightening is an emotional thing, but at the same time, the author is stating it as a fact. So you see how effective in this way third person can be, because the reader is not going to say, oh, that's just your opinion. I mean, the reader might just say that. Of course, the reader can say anything the reader wants. But because it's couched in third person, because this judgment here is couched in third person, it's harder for the reader to just dismiss it. The reader would really have to think about it more and say, well, is that factually true? Let's take a look at what the reader's saying here. What do I think about that? And that's what you want. You want your reader to engage with your writing. You want your reader to think about your writing. You want your reader to take your ideas seriously. And this is just a really wonderful illustration of how when you do that in a third person, it forces the reader to confront what you're saying rather than dismiss it as, oh, that's just your opinion, right? My opinion's different. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I just wanted to point that out. That's really good writing. In addition, the 14th article of the Universal Declaration states, and now where does this quote go down to? Everyone has the right to seek and enjoy asylum, right? This article is intended to prevent the persecution of citizens in some countries, actually in all countries, right? Because persecution can rear its ugly head anywhere, in any place, at any time. When a person's life is threatened in his or her country, the person can flee to another country and seek asylum. Absolutely. That's the intent here. Meanwhile, the non-national government can also provide security for the applicant, depending on the non-national, meaning the new country that the new government that the individual is fleeing to. It's a little technical term, but it's very good. A very famous event is the U.S. PRISM program. Again, this is the same essay, right? So there was a really good research and really good example here that's shown, and here's another one, okay? Very famous event is the US prison program. Edward Snowden exposed the NSA's long history of secret surveillance of the phone calls and emails and leaders of some countries, a severe violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The US government, therefore, wants to capture Snowden. Under the 14th article of the Universal Declaration, Snowden can seek asylum in another country. According to CBS News report published in 2013, Edward Snowden files asylum request in Russia. Snowden had offers of asylum from all these different countries, but chose Russia. So that's a perfect example of how the intent of the asylum law and how it actually has functioned well. Although each country has its legal procedures for asylum applications, the Universal Declaration is the basic rule that most countries follow. Very good. Last but not least, in the 19th article, everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes the freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek and receive and impart information and ideas through any media, regardless of frontiers. Frontiers meaning national borders, boundaries. Freedom of speech is one of the most critical ways for everyone to express their ideas. Absolutely. When many ideas are conveyed, whether positive or negative, it can push people to think. I love it. However, some countries control people's minds by denying them freedom of expression. Indeed. For instance, in the piece of news from the United Nations, the right to freedom of expression in Myanmar must be guaranteed. UN expert urges military coup leader. Again, here's really good research to find a situation that illustrates the idea that's being talked about here. Once again, it illustrates it by showing a violation, but still it's an excellent research and excellent example. Here, anyone can see that Myanmar's military has arrested some posters. I guess this is protesters. Oh, posters. People who put up statements, posters, yes. After those people posted statements on social media that were unfavorable to the Myanmar military, yes. So I stumbled over this word. It's a shortcut for saying people who posted or whatever, but it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Following the 19th article of the Universal Declaration, the UN urged military leaders to make changes under the people's wishes to guarantee their right to freedom of expression. Freedom of expression is a right given to people by the Universal Declaration to allow them to express their needs freely. The wrong thing will worsen if people have the right ideas and requirements that cannot be expressed. So this is just a bit confusing. If people have the right ideas, I would just say clarify this. Sometimes you need to use a few more words in order to more clearly get the idea. I think I know what you're driving at, but it's not crystal clear. In conclusion, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is the first international document to systematically introduce specific elements of internationally protecting and respecting human rights and fundamental freedoms. Excellent. It advocates freedom, equality, anti-discrimination, including civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. Very good. Many vital principles established in the Universal Declaration have become the ideological basis for the United Nations to formulate international documents on human rights and carry out activities in the field of human rights. And remember, that's the idea that we found in the previous essay with that the Bill of Human Rights that was referred to. So both students here did find out that there were more documents and more elements to this idea about human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights sets common standards for all countries and peoples to achieve and provides a code of conduct for United Nations member states and individuals. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we already looked at the work site. Very good. It's a really, really good essay. And what I particularly like about this essay is the examples that were given to illustrate because it shows that the research was done and the examples provided actually match up really well with the discussion itself. Very good. Good job. Okay. So anybody want to share an idea they have about the essay that they're writing? Just looking around to see who joined the class. Okay. Well, I shared those two with you. Hopefully that's enough to get you thinking about what you want to do. Those were two really excellent essays. The students did really good research. They matched up the research that they did with the discussion that they were having in the paper. Hope you can see that. And I'm encouraging all of you to do the same kind of thing. If you can achieve that here in this class, then you can achieve it in all your other classes in the future. And if you do that, you'll do really well, because that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do that research and match it up with what you want to say. It's a struggle. It takes a little time. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 different articles or different pieces of research before you can find something that fits really well with what you're trying to do. Another way to handle that is to try to adapt what you're writing to the research that you do. So sometimes if you're not exactly sure how you want to write your essay, going out there to the library or the internet and taking a look to see what's available and what kinds of things people have talked about in the area of human rights, and there's so much stuff. And then you can, in that way, sometimes get some ideas about which things to put together. So I hope that's helpful too. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Let me just review one more time what's going on with, oops, not there yet. I gotta bring it up. I think it's this one. No, it's this one. Okay. Let me share the screen here. This one. Okay. So let me just review with you again. Here we are today. And of course, from everybody, I'm looking for essay number 2. Some of you have not given me that, and you know who you are. Please give me that. Some of you owe me a second draft for essay number 2. Please give me that. That's fine. And then no class on Monday, but on Tuesday, we're going to have our last Zoom class. Don't be too sad. And I'm looking for the first draft of essay number 3 to come in around then. But of course, there's some slippage time here, so that's all right. And then I'm looking for the second draft of essay number 2 to come in by the 13th. So you do have some time. If you don't get it in by February 7th, that's okay. Some of you will. And if you don't, there's time in here for everybody to finish up. So I've taken away the final exam essay and just letting essay number 3 be the last essay, so you can put a little bit more effort into it. It's a major event, and you need 3 sources along with your essay itself. Okay? Questions? Anybody? Complaints? Anybody? Okay, go get to work, and I will see you on Tuesday. I'm going to stay
Thank you,
on.
Professor.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Professor.
Okay, I'm going to stop the